once you're in the mini casino playing the machine, sometimes you got a win. And one of the times I did get a win, and it accumulated up to over £2,000, and I couldn't believe my luck. All my numbers seemed to drop in, all my birthdays, all my thingies this particular day. And it was over £2,000, 2,000 something pound, and I says, I've got to lift that. I've got to lift that at £2,000. Don't let it go under £2,000. And that was the kind of conversations I was having myself while I was playing. And before I knew it, it was £1,800. It was £100 a spin at this time. And before I knew it, it was £1,800. I had missed the collect button on the 2,000 that I promised myself I would do. It would solve so many problems for us financially that, wow, it was massive. And before I knew it, it was £1,500. And then I says, I'll need to lift that at £1,000. Don't let it go below £1,000. And before I knew it, it was at £500. I was in a daze. I was numb. I couldn't think properly. I was ready for the bathroom. I wasn't leaving that machine under any circumstances. And it got to the stage that I actually wet myself when the bank showed me that I had £18 left. And I was numb. I'd wet myself. I'd slumped to the floor, I remember, and the manager of the shop coming out and lifting me to my feet, and I gathered my thoughts and I wrapped a jumper around my waist so that I could leave the premises. The shame and guilt, and looking back, I can't even remember who was looking at me, who's seen me or whatever, and I had to jump in a car and leave, full of feeling worthless, feeling totally worthless, and didn't want to be here anymore. And the fact that I didn't collect that money, which would have solved so many problems, it's like a double whammy, really. I had it in one hand and gone in the next, but that was the story of my gambling disorder. And even if I did collect it, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't have done all the things that I promised I would have done. I would have probably held on to it like I've done in the past and kept it, maybe took a day off, work out it, maybe bought a fish supper for the kids or something, and kept it for the gamble the next day. And knowing that money would have probably saved a lot of problems for the foreseeable few months ahead. But I probably would have just kept it and put it into a machine the next day. That was a really rock bottom moment, and I wanted to take my own life after performances like so many times before, but this had got to the stage that I'd actually humiliated myself standing wetting myself on a machine because I was too paranoid to go to the toilet or whatever it was. I just can't remember exactly the emotions I was going through, but I just felt worthless was probably the best word to describe it. One time that I decided that life wasn't worth going on and I was just bringing everybody down, I felt worthless and accumulated so much debt that I just couldn't see a way out. Family life was horrible, basically, all due to my existence, basically, and I didn't want to be here anymore. And I decided that once I'd been to GPs and other people that the only way was out, and I decided that I wanted to put a hose in the exhaust of my car and put it in the windscreen and in the side window and drink a half bottle of vodka and take some tablets, and that would be it. And when I decided that's what I was going to do, there was so much weight lifted from me. I felt this was the right thing to do because all of a sudden the burden had lifted. Whether it had lifted for me or passed on to somebody else, I don't really know what my actual thought process was, but I felt better that this was the right answer for me at this time. and proceeded to do that kind of, and I'd really be telling a lie if I told you how I was thinking, because all I felt was relief going through that process, and all I had to do was do it basically, and everything would be all right, as I thought. And I proceeded to do that in a car park, and I was interrupted, without getting into any big detail about it, I was interrupted by the police and merrily saying on my way without any, I remember looking back, there were no follow-up to see how I was, or anybody came to my house or anything like that. There was nothing, basically. And thank God the day that was interrupted, but at that particular time I was really at a low point. And I know what that's like. I know a lot of gambling. A lot of people with a gambling disorder often think of suicide. It's quite common. If you get into any Gamblers Anonymous meeting, 9 out of 10 people will tell you that they've thought about it or attempted it. And I don't see that at any other addiction services, or heroin addiction services or alcohol addiction services. I don't feel that suicide is thought about in these other addictions. I'm not too sure, I'm not an expert, but it just seems to be that people who have a gambling disorder think that suicide is a possibility the way out. Which, and I can vouch for isn't. If there's anybody struggling, please go and seek somebody to speak to. That's all I would tell anybody regarding that, because it's not the answer. I had stopped gambling at this particular moment in time. I was attending Gamblers Anonymous, and I was out the country with my wife and daughter and my grandson, and my son Tony, who was 29 at this particular time, was left. It was near his birthday, and he liked to stay here and have a few of his friends round and party. Tea in the garden, we called it, because tea in the park was a big thing at this time. Anyway, we were away and we got missed calls, and the tragedy was that Tony was in a bad way. He took a heart attack and was on a life support machine. And could we get back home as quick as we possibly could? And we did. We tried our best. We got home as quick as we could. And Tony had passed away. 2 days later, we got to his bedside and stuff like that. And he passed away when he was 29 years of age, and it was horrendous. Just horrendous. And to watch your wife and daughter break, basically, was horrendous. And my own grieving process was more or less put on hold to try to support my wife and my daughter as best I could. And later on, after that, the shame and guilt of my gambling kicked in, and I realised I wasn't there for my son when I should have been. The most precious years of his life, which was every one of them, but at least 15 to 20 years of that, I was going through a gambling addiction, and didn't realise the damage I was doing to my whole family. With just being not a father, especially to Tony and my daughter Lynn, just not being a father, not being a husband. I was too indulged in my own pursuits of gambling.